Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy show. My name is Hassani, and I am privileged to have with me this morning Lakeisha Hines, that phenomenal practitioner from Tampa, Florida. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am great, Sir Pettiford. How are you today?
I'm doing swell and I'm doing well. Listen, guys, before we get started, you know the drill. You know what to do. Take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, wherever you may be tuning in from, let your community know that we are here so that we can engage in a conversation with those who actually need it. Also, a couple announcements. Last Chance Weekend coming up May 19th through the 21st. If you have not registered, what in the world are you waiting for? You definitely want to get in because it's going to be transformational for people's lives. As you know, we always share testimonials of couples who've experienced a tremendous amount of impact in that experience. So make sure you go ahead and do that. We're talking today, continuing the conversation we started on yesterday about what does an unhappy marriage look like. Now, is this something that we need to tell you if you are in an unhappy marriage? I'm
No.
sure that you could tell us what an unhappy marriage looks like. But the reason why we're covering this today is because so many people think that what they're going through is so unique and specific to them that, man, if people knew how bad we had it, if people knew what we were going through. But once you expose yourself to a community of other people, you realize, oh, we're not the only ones. There are other people who are having challenges as well. Now, that's actually hopeful.
Mhm.
That's actually a good thing. Why? Because misery loves company? No. It's a good thing to know that you're not alone because there are other people who have similar challenges. We have a tendency of demonizing our spouse. We have a tendency of thinking that we made a wrong choice, that our spouse is the worst person on the planet Earth. Save me from this marriage so that I can find who I'm supposed to be with. But once you realize what's waiting for you on the outside, wait a minute, uh-oh, wait a minute, may not be better, that it may make sense to work on the existing relationship that you have. See, it gives you proper perspective. It lets you know how far you've actually come. It lets you know how far you have yet to go. So, being in a community of other people or talking to experts who can share with you what a good, healthy relationship and what an unhealthy relationship looks like gives you a leg up in your journey. What are your thoughts about that, Lakeisha?
100% agree because here's the thing, I am getting the return on my investment, which was into my husband, into my marriage. And a lot of times I think couples jump ship before they see that return. I'm getting interest at this point, Hassani. So I'm saying you need to stick with it, right? Get the support that you need so that you too can get that return on your investment.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about some of the things that you most likely can identify with, but we're going to unpack them one by one. Number one, here is a sign that you may be in an unhappy relationship. You constantly fantasize about another life or person. Now, this I could tell you if just being honest and transparent. In the very beginning of our marriage, this is where Danielle was. She was just like, "There's got to be something better than this." There's got to be more from my life than this. What did I do that I'm now being punished because of what I've done in my past? Like, what, God, what is this, an evil trick? Is it? And so oftentimes we find that people do begin to imagine, they begin to fantasize.
Mhm.
If there's not a specific person that they have in mind, there's a concept of a person that they may have in mind. And the more they begin to think, meditate, and fantasize on what that life will be like, it slowly moves them in that direction. And so, this is why one of the best books that I have read and that we encourage all of our men to read is entitled What Radical Husbands Do. Because in that book, it talks about how we are responsible for burning the ships. Burning the ships represents there should be no plan B. There should be no alternative route. There should be no option just in case this doesn't work out. Because if you have all of those things in mind, when you experience any challenge in your relationship, you will use it as a justification to take advantage of the other options that you have in place because you never got rid of that black book. You
Right.
never cut off those relationships. You never did the necessary thing. And so, do you, and some of you here, can really relate to this. You've been in this space. And what happens is you take on a belief that you're too far gone, that there's nothing that can be done that can help your situation because your mindset is so fixated on it not working because of what you've allowed your imagination to be exposed to. What are your thoughts about that?
Absolutely. And I think, there are some of us who have an escapist type of mentality, and that's the way that we handle situations by not handling them. We try to avoid dealing with the issues. We don't want to do the work. And one of the things, too, that I think is very clear with many of the couples that I work with, and I think with you too, Asani, you can confirm or correct, but we enter into marriage with the wrong intention, with the wrong motivation. We enter into marriage thinking, how can I be served? Instead of, how can I serve? And that's the wrong thought process, because you're constantly going in looking for someone to give you something. And you should be excited about going into marriage to give. So when we don't have that right mindset and we're not getting the thing that we went into it to get, then of course we want to go, oh no, this is not what I signed up for. And this is why Danielle and I get along, because I had that same mentality at one point too. I'm like, there has to be something better on the other side, because I did not sign up for this. And so you will want to then look for other options, but that's not it. That's not the way. Marriage is work. And if you're not willing to do the work, it's not going to work. So
Mhm.
you got to stay committed to that process.
And what we're really talking about here is mindset. Because if I'm starting to imagine and dream what life would be like without you, then we're talking about where is my mentality set in my marriage? And are my thoughts and are my internal belief systems working to reinforce a healthy relationship or pulling me further and further and further away? And there's so many people, separate from what you said you did and Danielle did, there's so many people who just are so single-minded. Like, we've been
Mhm.
married, but I still have a mentality of someone who's single, and I don't realize what
Yes.
relationship and coupleship and togetherness really looks like, because I'm still me and I'm going to be me regardless. And you don't realize that when you get married, something has to die in you
Yes.
because you're in a different phase, state, and season of your life, and many people have not made the adjustment.
No, it's got to die every day. You got to die to self daily. Okay. Sometimes hourly. But I love what you said about the power of the mind and thinking. I'm always talking about mindset shifts, and everything starts with the mind. And the Bible tells us that if we fantasize, not that specific word, but if we're thinking about, if we are lusting after having sex with someone else, then we've already committed that sin, right? So that's the power of the mind. If you're thinking about being somewhere else, you're thinking about abandoning ship, you're thinking about jumping ship, then you're putting all your energy in that instead of putting your energy into resolving and working out the issues. And you can't be double-minded, right? You can't split yourself in half and 50% of you is over there trying to leave, and then 50% is like, well, I'm trying to work it out. It doesn't work that way. You need all your faculties. You need all your mind. You need everything, heart, mind, body, spirit, committed to that process in order for it to work. And you can't be successful if your mind is elsewhere and it's outside of the marriage.
There it is. Let's go to number two. Lakeisha, you're up. Bored. You are bored in this marriage.
Listen, first of all, I love the fun, right? I'm Enneagram style 7. Those of you who know, sevens bring the fun. And so when it gets boring, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this. That was the old me. That was the immature me, and me understanding that, anything that we do in life can get boring if it's becoming redundant. You're doing it over and over. You never switch it up. You never try anything different. And getting bored, the old me said, okay, I got to go find something new. But no, I have to build something new within the confines of my marriage. And you can have a brand new marriage again if you're committed and willing to do the work. You do have to try new things. You do have to go out and experience new things. And that previous point that you were talking about when we were thinking about fantasizing about someone else, one of the things that we always talk to couples about here at Couples Academy is the power of dreaming. You know, when you've been married for a really, really long time, you
Yes.
stop dreaming, you stop making plans
Yes.
together, you stop goal setting. So that's where the fun comes in. Let's start planning where we want to travel. Let's start planning what retirement will look like. You know, we have 4 kids. Like, oh my God, I love sitting and talk to my husband about what's going to happen when we're empty nesters. Like, I'm so excited and looking forward to that, because that's something new and it gives us both something to anticipate together. So that's why that power of thinking, when you're over there thinking about somebody else, something else, another life, a new life, whatever, think about a new life with your current spouse and see where that gets you.
And that right there is the solution to boredom. Because to your point, we're bored in this marriage because everything feels old. There's no novelty. The newness has worn off. We've gone from new to normal. Monogamy has led to monotony, and you no longer do what you once did. And to your point, beginning to dream again, beginning to hope again, planning for the future. Danielle and I went on a date last night. We went to this great Mediterranean restaurant, and we're sitting in there, and what we're doing is we're plotting out the future. She says, Sonny, listen, I want you, talk 10 years from now, like speak into it. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you want to experience. And not just things that we want to do, but who we want to become.
Yes.
One of the things that I've learned is that there's a lot of people, like a lot of us are chasing money. We're chasing bigger houses. We're chasing vacations. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, experiencing nice things is an awesome thing. But as I look 10, 15, 20 years into the future, I see people who have all the stuff, all the materials, all the houses, the cars. They go on vacations every single month. They're living a retired life, but they are miserable.
Yes.
Because there's no connection, there's no relationship, there's no trust, there's no foundation in their marriage. And so just to obtain the new and the different thing, but there's nothing new and different within you,
Yes.
then what are you really doing? You see? So as you're getting more, make sure you're also focusing on becoming more. The combination of those two really makes a difference.
Well, you just said something, because for the people who have, and this is not judgment, for the people who have chosen to try something different, right? Outside of their marriage, infidelity or not, separate, leave, whatever, and they've chosen to do that. What you're doing is bringing your old self, your old problems, that same baggage you had, into a new relationship or a new situationship. And you're just going to mess that up as well, because nothing has changed within you, which is why we're always encouraging couples to do your individual work. That's so important, because if you are still the same person today that you were 10 years ago, that could be why you're bored. You're bored with yourself, but then blaming your spouse for your boredom. And
That's
like,
right.
I don't have control over whether or not you feel good about yourself or whether or not you are where you want to be. Like, you are in complete and total control of that.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said that better myself. Listen, guys, you're watching the Couples Academy show. We're talking about what does an unhappy marriage look like? And once we identify what it is, what to do about it. Stay right there. We'll be back after this quick break.
Hey family, Hassani and Danielle here, and I want to tell you about the Phoenix Awards Gala happening on October 7th, 2023. Couples Academy is hosting its first annual Phoenix Awards Gala, a celebration of perseverance, patience, and persistence, focused on couples who have endured and overcome significant hardships in their marriages.
Nominees of this prestigious award will have come to the brink of destruction in their marriage without giving up, and are living a testimony to what is possible when two stand as one.
This is no ordinary gala. We are honoring 5 of the most resilient couples across the U.S. and abroad. And here's the most exciting part. You get to pick our nominees. And there's more. Wear your most exquisite gowns and black tie ensembles and prepare for a 50-foot red carpet, cocktail reception, dinner, live music, and dancing. We're going to raise the roof and the standard for marriages on October 7th, and we want you to be there.
For tickets, go to couplesacademy.org/events.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Oh, my
Hello,
bad.
welcome back,
I'm sorry.
everyone.
I was just in
Welcome
my Couples
back.
Academy app over here, just perusing through the app to see all that it has to offer. My bad.
It's okay, Hassani, because guess what? I was getting ready to shout out the people. Hello, Daryl, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Team Smith in the house, Gorgeous Wells, Sherry, Vashawn. Thank you all so much for watching. And all of you who did not drop anything in the chat, let us know where you were streaming from. It's okay. Good morning to you too.
Good morning. Good morning. We're talking about what unhealthy marriages look like. And we've been talking about certain things that most of us can identify with. And we're going to go into the next one. And it's a deep one. And it's something that I think many people can relate to. And it's the fact that you engage in dirty fighting. You know, one of the principles that we teach when it comes to communication is to never share your feelings when you're in your feelings. Because when you're in it, the gloves come off. You don't care about no rules. You don't care about these videos, the show, your practitioner, what you're doing in the moving forward. You don't care about none of it because you're going to get what you got to get. And oftentimes we wind up engaging in war and battle and fighting with our spouse, making situations worse. Now, one of the things that many people as practitioners, what we know about, John Gottman, he's a PhD. He's written many books. He's really studied marriage. And he talks about this concept that many people may be familiar with called the four horsemen. And oftentimes we engage in these four horsemen during our conflicts with one another that really can take a bad situation and make it tremendously worse. And so we're going to take time for the rest of the show and talk about these four. And really quickly, criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. So we're going to tag team this and go one by one. Number one, criticism. Criticism, I tell you, criticism is attacking the core of your partner's character. You know, this was probably my biggest issue for a long time in our marriage. I was very critical and judgmental and shut her spirit down. And the wall that she built up it was insane. And so when a person has a critical eye and a critical spirit, it doesn't matter what it is. They will find something to criticize, to complain about, to speak down to. And so I didn't realize that the power of my words were so detrimental and damaging. But it was that one day, and many of you know the story, where we were in an argument and she's sitting on the edge of the bed and tears are coming down her eyes. And she looks at me and she says, Hassani, you know what? You declitterize me. And in essence, you know, just like so many men feel emasculated by their wives because of how they pop off and talk to them, in essence, she was saying that that's what I was doing in the marriage. I declitterized her. I robbed her of her femininity. I stripped her of her womanhood with the power of this tongue. And we know that the scripture says that this tongue, it's unruly. It is like a burning fire. And so we have to learn how to properly manage this, because if not, we could literally destroy everything, set everything ablaze in our relationship.
Criticism is the disapproval of people, not for having faults, but for having faults different from your own. And what are you doing really is you're pointing out those things in that other person that maybe you don't like about yourself.
Boom.
And so we have to be extremely self-reflective, where we have to get to this place where we own our stuff, deal with our stuff, and not bleed all over onto our spouses. And using those words always and never, that usually comes with criticism too, which we're always encouraging couples never to do. You never say that, because every time you say always and never, you're discounting every single time that they didn't do the thing or they did do the thing, and that's not productive and it's not helpful. So criticism does nothing but, as you said, attack and destroy that person's character.
Absolutely. The second one is contempt, and that is assuming moral superiority over your partner. Uh, we've seen many people who really think literally, I am better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the reasons why. You are less than me. And these are the reasons why. And there is this top down parent child type of dynamic in the relationship where one is looking down. And if I'm looking down to you, I don't respect you. And you
Right.
need to come up and you need to rise up and you need to be more. And it really serves to tear a couple apart.
We see this all the time with our couple society, right? With the betrayed to the betrayer.
Mm,
And the contempt leads to criticism, right? Because you are feeling as if I'm better because I didn't cheat. Well, guess what? There are a lot of things that you did that you may be not owning, that you may not be aware of. Just because you didn't cheat doesn't mean that you are in a good place, doesn't mean that you're doing good things, doesn't mean that you are showing up the way that your spouse desires for you to show up in that relationship. Contempt is just as bad as that infidelity.
yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, to your point, the affair trumps all else.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter how I react. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter how many times I've broken, slashed, torn, beat. None of that matters because it doesn't compare to what you did. And as
But what
long
did God
as,
say?
hmm,
But what did God say? God said sin is sin, right?
there it is.
So your backbiting, your disrespect of your spouse, wives to your husband, it's a sin if you disrespecting your husband. And it's just as bad as you going and murdering somebody in the alley. Sin is sin. There's no weight of it.
Yeah.
So none of us can stand to be in judgment or be in contempt.
Yeah. And once again, the contempt, it's moral superiority. There's a self-righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this venom, this
Yes.
vitriol, this hatred, this contempt that I
Yeah.
have for you because of what you've done. And I tell you, it's a heart issue.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how much your spouse may change, if you don't deal with that issue within you, it not only will it affect your marriage, it will literally destroy you.
Yes.
And truth be told, it doesn't just impact your relationship with your spouse. It impacts your relationships with your kids.
Yes.
It impacts your relationships with your employees, your family, your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone begins to see it on you because listen, you don't turn it on and turn it off when you're with your spouse. It's become who you are.
Yeah.
All right,
Mm.
let's go to the next one. We're talking about the four horsemen that John Gottman has unpacked. What happens when we get into these arguments? The next one is defensiveness. You want to hit that?
Yeah, being defensive many times is, our coping mechanism, our way of trying to avoid owning our stuff, right? And not have to deal with whatever it is that is going on in a situation, in a relationship. And people get defensive for multiple reasons, you know? A lot of times though, because it does have such a negative connotation with defensiveness, right? But sometimes people are being defensive because they don't feel heard, they don't feel valued, they don't feel appreciated, and so they get defensive because, for example, let's say my husband brings something to me that I need, he wants me to adjust or shift or change. Instead of me owning that and accepting that and receiving that, well, then I lash back out with stuff that I want for him to do, and I point out all his faults and flaws and all of those things instead of owning my stuff. So sometimes it's happening because I need you to give me something that you're not giving me, but it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't justify it. Defensiveness literally is another way of saying I'm perfect as I am, and therefore I don't need to grow or change in any way. And that is just not the truth. The quicker we own our stuff, the healthier we will become, the better our marriages will be.
Absolutely. Just Just for those who may question, well, am I defensive? I don't think I'm a defensive person. Let me give you some signs of what being defensive is. Number one, you stop listening to the other person. Like you completely tune them out, shut them down. You don't have no time for it. That's a form of defensiveness.
Mhm.
Number two, you make excuses about whatever you're being criticized about. That's a big one. Oh, fine. You
Mhm.
want to criticize me? Well, the only reason why I do what I do is because,
You.
right? So we've got a reason or a justification or excuse. We're defending ourselves instead of being open to the critique. Another sign is that we blame other people for what they're criticizing us about. So me, well, you do the same thing. So it's the tit for tat. We redirect it. Why? Because we don't want the spotlight on us. We reverse it and put the spotlight back on our partner.
Mhm.
In essence, we're accusing them of doing the same thing. And to your point, Lakeisha, another sign is we try to justify. See, that's the
Mhm.
problem. We try to justify our actions.
Yep.
And when you get into justifying your actions, it's a slippery slope and you've reached the point of no return. Another thing is you bring up past things that the other person did wrong to avoid talking about your current issue. Did you hear that? You
Yep.
bring up past things that they did wrong to avoid talking about your current issue.
It's
Man,
distraction. It's
it,
distraction. It's
it's
distraction.
distraction. And then
Mhm.
the last one is telling other people that they should not feel the way that they do. I don't know why you feel the way you do. That you need to work on how you feel. That's your interpretation. The problem's with you. It's not me. Is you. And it's just like, and this is why a person feels like they're losing it and going crazy, and it can be a feeling of emotional abuse in a relationship. So now I'm crazy for what I'm identifying. I'm taking the time to tell you what I have a problem with, and you flip it and make it about me. That is classic defensiveness.
Hi, my name is Lakeisha Hines, and I used to be defensive. I used to always say that, and that's crazy. Like it just really destroys your spouse internally, and like you said, make them feel as if they're crazy because it's like, okay, I only did this because you did that, or like it's not taking ownership. It's not owning your stuff. It's not dealing with your personal issues and making it be about your spouse, which makes them feel as if you feel that you are better than them and you can't do wrong. And
You
that's
know
just
what? Absolutely. I wish we could go to the last point, but guess what? We're out of time and you got a session to do. And so we
yes,
got
I
to end
do.
this session today. Listen, I hope that you got something out of today's conversation. We're just going to have to continue to tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. We love you guys and see you. Have a great day.